remember, you'll ask. Huh? The question is, what to remember? Whatever I have done, you remember. First is pleading Lord, remember. Next, remember is what? Whatever I have done. Again, emphasis is put. Krato, O Krato, you are the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. O Krato. But again, it comes with Om. Because Om is the designation of Lord, one who is the controller of internal, marginal, and external energy. So, in this way, O Lord, you remember whatever I have done. So, Pushpa, you can continue from where we have stopped.
Hare Krishna. In this mantra, the living entity prays to enter the spiritual kingdom of God after relinquishing his material body and material air. The devotee prays to the Lord to remember his activities and sacrifices he has performed before his material body is turned into ashes. He makes this prayer at the time of death with full consciousness of his past deeds and of the ultimate goal. One who is completely under the rule of material nature remembers the heinous activities he performed during the existence of his material body, and consequently he gets another material body after death. The Bhagavad Gita 8.6 confirms this truth. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati anta kalevaram
Yam
tam
yam
tam.
vapi smaranbhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. We have this verse in 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yam yam vapi, sorry, 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So before this verse, it is Antakare Chamameva Smaranmuktva Kalevaram. One has to remember Lord, time of quitting the body. But then Lord says, whatever state he quits the body, remembering something else, he gets that type of consciousness. Okay.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Thus, the mind carries the living entity's propensities into the next life. Unlike the simple animals who have no developed mind, the dying human being can remember the activities of his life like dreams at night. Therefore, his mind remains surcharged with material desires, and consequently, he cannot enter into the spiritual kingdom with a spiritual body. The devotees, however, develop a sense of love for Godhead by practicing devotional service to the Lord. Even if at the time of death a devotee does not remember his service to the Lord does not forget him. This prayer is given to remind the Lord of the devotee's sacrifices. But even if there is no such reminder, the Lord does not forget the service rendered by his pure devotee. The Lord clearly describes his intimate relationship with his devotees in the Bhagavad Gita 9.30 to 34. Even if one commits the most abominable sin, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
He
He quickly becomes
माम अनन्य भाव साधुरेव समन्तव्य सम्यक व्यवसितो is sir. Apiche Sudurachara. He is a devotee, but what to do? Our activities are dependent on our past life impressions also. So, but unknowingly, accidentally, he has done some mistake. Krishna protects him. But if he is doing it knowingly, again, nobody will protect. In fact, he will be getting more punishment. Yeah.
He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Shudras, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmana, the devotees and the saintly king. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains these verses in this way. One should regard a devotee of Krishna to be on the right path of the saints, even though such a devotee may seem to be a Durachara, a person of loose character. One should try to understand the real purport of the word Durachara. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions, namely for maintenance of body and again self-realization. Social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of the body. The self-realization part of one's activities is executed in one's occupation as a devotee of the Lord, and one performs actions in that connection also. One must perform these two different functions along parallel lines because a conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of his body. The proportion of activities for maintenance of the body decreases, however, in proportion to the increase in devotional service. As long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance for an occasional exhibition of worldliness. But it should be noted that such worldliness cannot continue for long, because by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. Therefore, the path of devotional service is the only right path. If one is on the right path, even an occasional occurrence of worldliness does not hamper one in the advancement of self-realization. The facilities of devotional service are denied the impersonalists because they are attached to the Brahma Jyoti feature of the Lord. As suggested in the previous mantras, they cannot penetrate the Brahma Jyoti because they do not believe in the personality of Godhead. Their business is mostly word jugglery and mental speculation. Consequently, the impersonalists pursue a fruitless labor, as confirmed in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita 12.5. All the facilities suggested in this mantra can be easily obtained by constant contact with the personal feature of the Absolute Truth. Devotional service to the Lord consists essentially of 9 transcendental activities: hearing about the Lord, glorifying the Lord, remembering the Lord, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshipping the Lord, offering prayers to the Lord, serving the Lord, enjoying friendly association with the Lord, and surrendering everything unto the Lord. These 9 principles of devotional service, taken all together or one by one, help a devotee remain constantly in touch with God. In this way, at the end of life, it is easy for the devotee to remember the Lord. By adopting only one of these 9 principles, the following renowned devotees of the Lord were able to achieve the highest perfection. By hearing of the Lord, Maharaj Parikshit, the hero of Srimad Bhagavatam, attained the desired result. Just by glorifying the Lord, Sukadev Goswami, the speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, attained his perfection. By praying to the Lord, Akrura attained the desired result. By remembering the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj attained the desired result. By worshipping the Lord, Pruthu Maharaj attained perfection. By serving the lotus feet of the Lord, the goddess of fortune Lakshmi attained perfection. By rendering personal service to the Lord, Hanuman attained the desired result. Through his friendship with the Lord, Arjuna attained the desired result. By surrendering everything he had to the Lord, Maharaj Bali attained the desired result. Actually, the explanation of this mantra and of practically all the mantras of the Vedic hymns is summarized in the Vedanta Sutra and properly explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the mature fruit of the Vedic tree of wisdom. In Srimad Bhagavatam, this particular mantra is explained in the questions and answers between Maharaj Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami at the very beginning of their meeting. Hearing and chanting of the science of God is the basic principle of devotional life. The complete Bhagavatam was heard by Maharaj Parikshit and chanted by Sukadev Goswami. Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadev because Sukadev was a greater spiritual master than any great yogi or transcendentalist of his time. Maharaj Parikshit's main question was, what is the duty of every man, specifically at the time of death? Sukadev Goswami answered, Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagwan Ishwaro Hari. Strotavya Kirti Kirti Kirtitavyascha Smartavyas Chechata Bhayam. Everyone who desires to be
Tasmad Bharat Sarvatma. Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari.
Hari.
Same thing is there even in the second canto also. In the first chapter, the first canto of the second chapter. Tasmadikena Manasa Bhagavan Satatam Pati. Kuttavya Kizitavya Shadeya Pujascha Nityada. Here little different is there. Same verse has been spoken here also. Tasmad Bharat Sarvatma. Bhagavan Ishwaro Hari. Shottavya Kizitavya Smartavyascha. Smartavyascha. Chetabhyam. Smartavyasche. Chetabhyam. Read.
Everyone who desires to be free from all anxieties should always hear about, glorify, and remember the personality of Godhead, who is the supreme director of everything, the extinguisher of all difficulties, and the supersoul of all living entities. Bhagavatam 2.15. So called human society is generally engaged at night in sleeping and having sex, and during the daytime in earning as much money as possible, or else in shopping for family maintenance. People have very little time to talk about the personality of Godhead or to inquire about Him. They have dismissed God's existence in so many ways, primarily by declaring Him to be impersonal, that is, without sense perception. But in the Vedic literature, whether Upanishads, Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavad Gita, or Srimad Bhagavatam, it is declared that the Lord is a sentient being and is supreme over all other living entities. His glorious activities are identical with himself. One should therefore not indulge in hearing and speaking of the rubbish activities of worldly politicians and so called big men in society, but should mold his life in such a way that he can engage in godly activities without wasting a second. Sri Ishopanishad directs us towards such godly activities. Unless one is accustomed to devotional practice, what will he remember at the time of death when the body is dislocated, and how can he pray to the Almighty Lord to remember his sacrifices? Sacrifice means denying the interest of the senses. One has to learn this art by employing the senses in the service of the Lord during one's lifetime. One can utilize the results of such practice at the time of death. Hare Krishna.
One can utilize the results of such practice. Time of death. So what is this practice? Why we are all chanting? Why we are performing the Navvida Bhakti? This all will come to use at the time of death. But death is horrible, not so easy to remember. Not so easy to remember Krishna. So the practice of remembering Krishna, utilizing every moment in his service, is just a practice. You may be associated, you may hear, all these things are there. Ultimately, for what? To face an examination. The examination is going to come to all of us. At that time, one has to remember. I've seen my father doing. That is why at the end also, he could remember. It's very, I have seen him, all the circumstances. He met with an accident, eyes gone, everything, hands gone. What did not go? But still, he used to remember Lord. So remembering Lord at the time of death is not so easy. So this is a practice ground. So we get connected to different places. But ultimately purpose, Antakale cha mamira smaranam tva kalevaram nihaprayat samatbhavam yati nasita samshaya. Not only that, but making remember Krishna also activities. Vayuraninam mamatamatedam basmantam shariram kuto smaram kata smara. Om kuta smara. Om kuta smara kuto smara. Kuta smara kuto smara. So that is a purpose. That is why verses are read every day. Every day Swadhyay should be done. We don't know at that point what verse we are going to remember. How will be our consciousness, isn't it? We don't think more. We don't have to think also. That is the will of Krishna. How to take us, that is will of Krishna. What we can do is how I am utilizing my day. That's more important. The day has been given to me. The time has been given to me. So how am I utilizing this day? How am I remembering Krishna the time? So in the day we can go to office, we can go to different places, marketplace, here, there. But ultimately, is my consciousness in Krishna. That's more important. This is again a very powerful verse. 18th verse, last verse. At last we have come to the last verse. Agnenaya supataraya span vishwani deva vayunani vidvan yudhyasmaj juhuranam meno bhuishtham te namoktim vidhema Agneya. Oh my Lord, you're as powerful as fire. Agneya. Naya Subhata, you please kindly lead me to the right path. Naya Subhata, Agne Naya Subhata, Rayasman. You give me that path, lead me to that path which will reach you. Rayasmin, Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidvan. All Vishwani Deva, oh my Lord, Vayunani Vidvan, you know all my actions. Yodhi Asmaj Juhuranam Enah. So you please remove all the hindrances. You know all my actions. So actions, reactions, yes, these reactions are my hindrances. Reactions come in the form of further actions also. So you remove all the hindrances, O Lord. All the vices, enam is all the vices. Bhuishtham te namah uktim vidhema. So I pay humble obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. Multiple times I pay obeisances, O Lord. Bhuishtham te namah uktim, with words of obeisances, vidhema. So I pay obeisances at your lotus feet falling on the ground. When you say obeisances, naturally it should be Dandavat Pranam. So kindly lead me to the right path which will reach you. You know that I have done what I have done in the past. Free me from these reactions to my past sins so that there will be no hindrance to my progress. So that is how the prayers are done. So Lord, only you can free me from all the reactions. You know what I have done. You know all my uh, previous life impressions. They are known as vasanas. You know, these vasanas are engaging me in different actions again. These previous life impressions. So you know all these things. So what you can do? You can lead me to the right path. And what is that right path? Making us take the shelter of a spiritual master. There's the right path. And then furthering our devotion in serving the spiritual master and progressing in devotional service. So in this way, O Lord, only you can show me the right path. And this right path is nothing but how to reach to you. And for that, I should be freed from all the actions first. Actions, reactions, again reactions, again actions. In this way, I go on changing different species, 84 lakh species. But you can burn all the reactions. Fourth chapter Bhagavad Gita speaks about how the reactions are burnt. Krishna is compared to a boat which can cross us. Krishna is compared to a fire which can burn our reactions. Okay. Aditya, can you read? Aditya.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Agnenaya supataraye asman vishwani deva vayunani vidvan yuyodhya asman suhuranam eno bhuistham te nama uktim vidhema. Translation: O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, Please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins, so that there will be no hindrance to my progress. Purport. By surrendering to the Lord and praying for His causeless mercy, the devotee can progress on the path of complete self realization. The Lord is addressed as fire because He can burn anything to ashes, including the sins of the surrendered soul. As described in the previous mantras, the real or ultimate aspect of the Absolute is His feature as the personality of Godhead, and His impersonal Brahmajyotir feature is a dazzling covering over His face. Fruitive activities or the karma kand, path of self realization, is the lowest stage in this endeavor. As soon as such activities even slightly deviate from the regulative principles of the Vedas, they are transformed into vikarma or acts against the internal interest of the actor. Such vikarma is enacted by the illusion living entity simply for sense gratification, and thus such activities become hindrances on the path of self realization. Self realization is possible in the human form of life, but not in other forms. There are 8.4 million species or forms of life, of which the human form, qualified by Brahminical culture, presents the only chance to obtain knowledge of transcendence. Brahminical culture includes truthfulness, sense control, forbearance, simplicity, full knowledge, and full faith in God. It is not that one simply becomes proud of his high parentage. Just as being born the son of a big man affords one a chance to become a big man, so being born the son of a Brahmana gives one a chance to become a Brahmana. But such a birthright is not everything, for one still has to attain Brahminical qualifications for himself. As soon as one becomes proud of his birth as the son of a Brahman and neglects to acquire the qualifications of a real Brahman, he at once becomes degraded and falls from the path of self realization. Thus, his life's mission as a human being is defeated. In the Bhagavad Gita 6.41 and 42, we are assured by the Lord that the Yoga Brashtas, or souls fallen from the path of self realization, are given a chance to rectify themselves by taking birth either in the families of good Brahmanas or in the families of rich merchants. Such births afford higher chances for self realization. If these chances are misused due to illusion, one loses a good opportunity of human life afforded by the Almighty Lord. The regulative principles are such that one who follows them is promoted from the platform of fruitive activities to the platform of transcendental knowledge. After many, many lifetimes of cultivating transcendental knowledge, one becomes perfect when he surrenders unto the Lord. This is the general procedure. But one who surrenders at the very beginning, as recommended in this mantra, at once surpasses all preliminary stages simply by adopting the devotional attitude. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18.66, the Lord at once takes charge of such a surrendered soul and frees him from all the reactions to his sinful acts. There are many sinful reactions involved in karma kanda activities, whereas in Jnana Kanda, the path of philosophical development, the number of such sinful activities is smaller. But in devotional service to the Lord, the path of bhakti, there is practically no chance of incurring sinful reactions because the devotee of the Lord attains all the good qualifications of the Lord Himself, what to speak of those of a Brahmana. A devotee automatically attains the qualification of an expert Brahmana authorized to perform sacrifices, even though the devotee may not have taken his birth in a Brahmana family. Such is the omnipotence of the Lord. He can make a man born in a Brahman family as degraded as a low born dog eater, and he can also make a low born dog eater superior to a qualified Brahmana simply on the strength of devotional service. Since the omnipotent Lord is situated within the heart of everyone, he can give directions to his sincere devotees by which they can attain the right path. Such directions are especially offered to the devotee, even if he desires something else. As far as others are concerned, God gives sanction to the doer only at the risk of the doer. But in the case of a devotee, the Lord directs him in such a way that he never acts wrongly. The Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.42 says, स्वपादमूलां भजतः प्रियस्य त्यक्- त्यक्-
स्वपदा
त्यक्तान्यभावस्य हरे परेशः. विकर्मयत् चोत्पतितं कथाञ्चित् धुनोति सर्वं यदि सन्निविष्टः. The Lord is so kind to the devotee who is fully surrendered to his lotus feet that even though the devotee sometimes falls into the entanglement of vikarma, acts against the Vedic directions, the Lord at once rectifies such mistakes from within his heart. This is because the devotees are very dear to the Lord. In this mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, the devotee prays to the Lord to rectify him from within his heart. To err is human. A conditioned soul is very often apt to commit mistakes, and the only remedial measure to take against such unintentional sins is to give oneself up to the lotus feet of the Lord so that he may guide one to avoid such pitfalls. The Lord takes charge of fully surrendered souls. Thus, all problems are solved simply by surrendering oneself unto the Lord and acting in terms of His directions. Such directions are given to the sincere devotees in two ways. One is by way of the saints, scriptures, and spiritual master, and the other is by way of the Lord Himself, who resides within the heart of everyone. Thus, a devotee fully enlightened with Vedic knowledge is protected in all respects. Vedic knowledge is transcendental and cannot be understood by mundane educational procedures. One can understand the Vedic mantras only by the grace of the Lord and the spiritual master. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru. If one takes shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, it is to be understood that he has obtained the grace of the Lord. The Lord appears as the spiritual master for the devotee. Thus, the spiritual master, the Vedic injunctions, and the Lord from within all guide the devotee in full strength. In this way, there is no chance for a devotee to fall again into the mire of material illusion. The devotee, thus protected all around, is sure to reach the ultimate destination of perfection. The entire process is hinted at in this mantra, and Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17 to 20 explains it further. Hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord is itself an act of piety. The Lord wants everyone to hear and chant His glories because He is the well wisher of all living entities. By hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, one becomes cleansed of all undesirable things, and then one's devotion becomes fixed upon the Lord. At this stage, the devotee acquires the Brahminical qualifications, and the effects of the lower modes of nature, passion and ignorance, completely vanish. The devotee becomes fully enlightened by the virtue of his devotional service, and thus he comes to know the path of the Lord and the way to attain him. As all doubts diminish, he becomes a pure devotee. Thus, and the Bhaktivedanta purport to Sri Ishopanishad, the knowledge that brings one near to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Hare Krishna.
यस्य देवे परा भक्ति यथा देवे तथा गुरु तस्यैते कथायर्थं प्रकाशरूपे महात्मना. One who loves his spiritual master as good as God, as Guru given, then tasyaite katitayartham prakashante matmal. The Lord reveals the knowledge to him. And then a devotee performs akinchana bhakti. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. Sarvair gunes tatra samasate sura. And he attains all good qualities. He may have done anything in the past, but if he is performing the devotional service with great care and sincerity, then it is said, Lord gives the knowledge and he gets all the wonderful qualities. In this way, hearing and chanting the glories itself is act of piety. Lord wants everyone to hear. If you see 1 first canto, second chapter, 17 to 20, Prabhupada includes these verses in Markine Bhagavad. So very important verses they are. You can go to Nashtapraya Shabatri Nityam Bhagavad Sevya Bhagavati Tamashmati. Shrutam Sukata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Dantastoy Vadrani Vinoti Swatsata Nashtapraya Shabatri Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Deshtiki Tada Rajastamo Bhava Kamano Bhadeshe Chete Tanavitam Sate Prasita Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata Bhagavad Tatvityana Mutta Sangatata Viktate Erde Granti Siddhante Bhagam Shishkante Sasakarmani Shtevat Manishware. These are the verses where very clearly it has been said how from Shraddha to Prema person reaches. It started with Shlotam Sukata Krishna. The more we hear, the more we hear. Our heart is cleansed with all the vices. And slowly when the patra goes, come, we get the Naishtiki Bhakti. Naishtiki Bhakti is we are fixed up in devotional service. Though there may be a lot of torture, but still one knows without this there is no hope. So in this way, the devotee always is fixed up, and then his taste changes and his asakti towards Lord increases. He attains the bhava, and from the bhava, he attains the stage of prema. In that stage of prema, Drishtevat Manishware, he pleads to Lord, O Lord, please give me your darshan. And in that, O Lord, please remove all the effulgence. I want to see your lotus face. That is at the level of prema. These verses of Bhagavata, which has been included even by Srila Prabhupada in Markine Bhagavata, there's the verses which he has written in the ship while going from India to America. At the time he writes these verses are very important verses. One has to memorize such verses anyhow in Bhakti Vaibhav. When you go to Bhakti Vaibhav, we will be doing all these verses. Now, first we complete Bhakti Shastri and slowly enter in Bhakti Vaibhav. Okay, any questions now? We have completed. Today is 22nd. We'll give you when you want the exam.
5th and 6th, Mataji, you had said.
Huh?
5th
October
and 6th.
5th and 6th.
October 5th and 6th.
I think it will be too early. We'll delay it little. Not early.
Mataji, no, I think we have put that in the group also, and Shumar Mataji has also advised us to do that.
I don't have any problem. If you have
Okay.
put in the group, very good. So prepare yourself for October 5th and 6th. Again, you put in the group. Today we have completed the portion. So you have enough time to study actually. Something hard and easy also. Very easy papers come. But we can make it difficult or we can make it more wonderful by memorizing the verses. Every day it should be a swadhyaya actually. Every day morning when you keep flowers for Lord, when you arrange everything, these two things, that is nectar of instructions and Ishopanishad, try to memorize the verses. I have taken these all as a swadhyaya many years before. First canto Bhagavatam, first chapter, second chapter, Brahma Samhita, Gopiki, Ishopanishad, nectar of instructions. So these all should be the swadhyaya. When you have this swadhyaya, you will relish. Your day starts very nicely because you are chanting Bhagavatam. When you have Bhagavatam in your mouth, then Shoka Moha Bhaya Paha. Yasyam Vaishvamana Krishna Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadete Vimsam Krishna Shoka Moha Bhaya. The moment you take shelter of Bhagavatam, Bhakta Bhagavat, Grantha Bhagavat, Shoka, that is the things which has happened in the past, what things are there in the present, and what is going to happen in the future. All these things will go up. Shoka Moha Bhaya. These are the results of past, present, and future. Okay? Stop here.
Mataji, how many verses we have to memorize for exam?
All
Ishopanishad.
verses.
All? 18?
But you will be asked to.
Okay, Mataji.
Nice,
Correct.
nice. At least first was everyone knows. Isha Vasimidam Sar. Om Purnamada Purnamada.
Hmm.
But if you learn all the verses, it's good for you only.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay?
Mataji, one question. Hare Krishna. Mataji, these are the prayers. So these are written by Srila Vyasadeva.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mataji.
Vyasa. Upanishad is written by Vyasa. Among all the Upanishad, Isha Upanishad is considered to be the best. Because Isha Upanishad directly indicates the supremacy and the sweetness of Krishna and the sweet dealings of the devotees with Krishna. The sweet prayers also of the devotees to Krishna. The word itself indicates it's about Lord, Isha, Isha, controller, Isha Upanishad. To know about the controller, one should sit beside the spiritual master and learn. Upanishad. Okay.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Then after I think we'll be starting next of devotion. I tell you when we'll start. After the Shara will start. I'll give you the timetable afterwards. But now let us complete first. Yes.
Mataji, this is the book, no? For Nectar of Devotion.
Yes. Next of devotion.
Yes.
But I'm not going to take just English. It's only the just translation. We'll be going through the verses. So I'll be putting a PDF file in which all the verses are there, and those verses have been translated in that book. In the book, there are no verses. So if you just go on reading, you'll be confused. But if you have verses, you will relish. Nectar of devotion.
Like starting of every chapter, the way we are reading, that way you will give one verse.
Yeah, it will be in the PDF file because I have the book. Not everyone has the book. But if you get the book, it will be nice. Going to Vrindavan, let me see. The Vrindavan, we get the book. Tomorrow I'm starting for Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna.
So Vrindavan, I should get the. I don't know whether I'll get the book or not, or I will have the time to get the book or not. If you're getting the book here also, it is a red color book which has verses also. Okay, okay then. Panchakalpatarudeshakpa Sindhudev Chapatitanam Pavadevyo Aishnavi Bhuvanam Vishnu Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.